Redwood trees are amazing. They're so majestic when you walk through the groves and see these huge columns of wood just rising into the heavens above. They're one of the longest lived trees on the planet.
Redwood Survival, I absolutely loved this. So I've, seen the redwoods, I've visited them, and to, be in front of them is absolutely amazing and awe-inspiring because they are massive, and just the thought of truly like how long they have stood is amazing. But to get this kind of perspective of how they survive, how they kind of bounce back, what fire does to them, what all these different kind of, in certain senses, very, very natural, like fire is a very natural part of the forest, and having a burn every however long is very, very common, and is necessary for a really good healthy cycle of the forest. So getting to see and getting to learn and getting a perspective on like how trees and in general how the forest would bounce back from that, but then specifically focusing in on redwoods and just the wonder and the awe that they can inspire, and how they specifically deal with that was really, really fun to learn about.
Redwood Survival, interesting documentary, interesting movie about nature, about trees and forest, and the aftermaths of wildfires. So it was really engaging to see these environmentalists to tell us how they study the carbon, from the carbon of the trees that went on fire. They can understand so many things about the trees, about their life, and above all about how can these trees come back to life and generate new life after they suffer a tragic event such as wildfires. I think it was very educative. I mean, it's interesting to get to know all these things because, and these kind of studies that are made on trees, because they're not widestream. And it would be great to expand this knowledge to as many people as possible. Also to educate about the terrible aftermath that happens after big wildfire. And we have an increasing number of wildfires every year, more and more and more, due to the climate change. So I think overall this short is needed, and a lot of people should watch it. So overall, great production, very well done. Congratulations.
All right, I just finished watching Redwood Survival, which I thought was a very informative and well done piece, especially in a short amount of time, about redwood trees. I feel like this is one of the most famous style trees. I feel like it's one of the shorthand trees of like a very beautiful, majestic, sort of breathtaking, natural artifact. And I thought that the piece did a really good job of showing how fascinating the tree itself was, the amount of life and the complexity in life in which the tree operates, and sort of how vital it is to not just its environment, but sort of the big picture idea of human beings' relationship to nature, and how we should sort of reinterrogate, especially at this point, our relationship to all nature in general, and sort of promoting a more healthy balance between humans and the natural ecosystem. And I thought the piece really did a really great job of sort of showcasing the redwoods as a beautiful space, and to go visit as a forest, or to be interested in as a topic, but also the big picture ideas about our relationship with nature, and sort of how vital it is that people are more aware of how important saving trees like the redwoods is in general. So I thought the piece was very informative in that sense, and was really great to look at because of how great the shots of the forest were. So I ended up enjoying it for those reasons.
Redwood Survival. This had some incredible cinematography, and it was really intriguing to learn more about the redwoods. And the way that the filmmakers did this, how they had everyone explaining it, made it so easy for anybody to understand and for anybody to kind of learn with and want to know more. So that was a fantastic thing. I think that this whole film had a great pace to it. It was edited really well. And the music was subtle. It fit the piece so perfectly. It wasn't overpowering where it distracted from what was going on the screen. Great job.
Forest fires or wildfires have always been a very interesting topic for me, and Redwood Survival kind of strikes the core in that reasoning. Um, we always have that kind of assumption that forest fires are very dangerous, which they are, but also that they harm the environment uh, because of the fact that there's such a loss of nature, of the trees, of anything edible for the wildlife in that area. But then there's also the fact that within these forest fires, new life grows from it, and eventually life does come back to it. And the fact that forest fires have existed long before we, as humanity, tried to take control of nature, which begs the question of why? Why does nature flourish from something that should be rather devastating? Um, this documentary definitely scratched that itch for me. But yeah, this was a very interesting one, and I definitely feel like I learned a lot.
Redwood Survival was a kind of a feel-good piece because normally you hear about deforestation and the loss of trees and how everything is killing our planet. And this is a story about resilience and how fire resistant these are, and that it's kind of blowing the minds of scientists that all of this damage can happen and yet still it survives and yet still it thrives. And it just goes to show you how powerful nature is. And it's just nice to have this little, 5-minute video of hope and happiness, of strength and resilience from Mother Nature. And yet she persists. Great film.
Redwood Survival. Well, I was really interested to learn that Big Basin Park is the oldest state park in the U.S., so it's no wonder they were devastated to have the 2020 fire that destroyed 97% of the forest. And how incredible that the redwoods survived. It was so well explained. The redwood trees survive because they're able to store carbon for years and years, decades. And they use this stored carbon to help them rejuvenate and survive these extreme conditions. It was fascinating to see the scientists in their lab where they do the radiocarbon dating. I'd never seen that before. Found that really excellent and really enjoyed this information.
The work that these professors are doing is incredibly amazing. The fact that they're trying to figure out what caused a wildfire using carbon to determine more about trees and to play with that. Well, admit I don't know a lot about science, so a lot of what they said did go over my head. It would be I was looking for a little more layman terms, which they did give sometimes, but I could tell what they're doing is absolutely amazing for our environment, for the world, for the redwoods. To use carbon-based testing to determine both wildfires and to keep the redwoods alive. They've been around for a long time, and like they said, the fire burned like 97% of the property. So it's very important to keep them on. I think these professors at the University of Arizona are doing a phenomenal job, and that they're trying to get the word out there of what they're doing so maybe other universities can help, or they can get more funding, or anything can happen to promote their studies. That way we can continue to understand more. So I think they're doing a fundamental job that will be hard over time, but I think it will be rewarding in the end.